What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Sports and Random Shit. I am your host, Queen Jayyy. Today we have a jam-packed episode, per usual. Lots of NFL headlines this week, which makes me so happy. We also have opening day. Let's go Dodgers. Lakers on a 5-game winning streak, and just a lot to unwind here. So we will start with NFL. So they had their yearly, the owners and other NFL personnel had their yearly meeting in Orlando, and there were a lot of changes, which I already noted in my TikTok. The bigger changes: the hip drop tackle no longer allowed in the NFL, which makes it really difficult for defenders to do their job, which is defend. And it's kind of upsetting because I'm just like, what do you expect them to do? So we'll have to see how that plays out. The kickoff rule, obviously the kickoff is going to look a lot different this year. They're adapting the XFL's kickoff situation that they've had the last couple of years. So it's going to be really interesting to see that. I don't think that I necessarily hate this. Like this, I'm kind of excited to see because I do feel like it's going to increase the number of kickoff returns, which is obviously what the NFL needs to make kickoffs exciting again, because there was a huge decline last year. I think it was just under 22%, as opposed to 88% the year before in kickoff returns, where the XFL is seeing a return of like 90%, if I'm not mistaken. So not mad about this one. Obviously the announcement of 2 Christmas Day games, despite it being on a Wednesday. NFL is king, man. If you look at the whole schedule for December, it's chef's kiss. It is literally like NFL. There's also college football playoffs, and it's just like back to back to back to back. Like we have Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, Wednesday, Friday, like just all the football, and I just love it. I'm here for it all. I mean, obviously the NFL would be stupid to not continue doing NFL games, considering that they saw last year's numbers and how they averaged 28 million viewers per game. That, I think one game literally matched to like the entire viewership for like NBA teams or NBA games. I'd have to look to see exactly what that number was, but yeah, NFL is king, man. What are other changes? So now their coaches will see they're being honored a third challenge, and that's if they're successful with the first challenge and they win and they keep their timeout. Let's see what else here. So the trade deadline has now been moved back to the Tuesday after week 9, as opposed to week 8, and it only makes sense considering the NFL did add an additional game to the regular football season. And there were 3 new penalties that were added to the replay category, along with PI, which was added a few years back, thanks to the Saints, where they complained about the Rams not getting that PI call. That's neither here nor there. So the 3 penalties that were added to the replay category were roughing the passer, intentional grounding, and late hits out of bounds. More NFL news. Dak is not expected to get an extension to his contract, so he will play out the remainder of his contract this year. And I know people are like, oh my god, what's going to happen to him next year? Honestly, guys, BFFR, Jerry Jones is still the owner. Unless something happens to that man, like, I'm sorry to sound so morbid, but he's the owner. Like, he's just going to keep Dak. He's not going to make any changes. So I think that this means absolutely nothing, to be honest with you. Unless he has a complete shit season, then obviously they would probably need to make some changes. But I do see Dak staying with the Cowboys even past this year. More NFL news. So the Rams secondary added Trey White from the Bills. He did get surgery from a Rams doctor and has been rehabbing with him. And our secondary includes Trey White, Darius Williams, and Cam Curl. Our secondary is looking scary. Dude, we're gonna ball out this year. Horns freaking up, man. And more NFL news. Josh Reynolds is signing with Denver. If I'm not mistaken, it is a 3-year contract. He was a former Ram, former Detroit Lion, and now a Bronco. And MLB news, opening day was today. Let's go Dodgers. Them boys in blue better do something this year. It was opening day all across the MLB. But of course, the Dodgers already played 2 games in South Korea. Won 1, lost 1. And now we beat the Cardinals today, so we are up 2-1 right now. And speaking of the Dodgers, I know I never touched on the Shohei Ohtani scandal with his interpreter getting fired because of the 4.5 million that were apparently stolen, wired from Ohtani's account to his interpreter's account to cover basically all of his gambling addiction expenses. And it sounds a little fishy. That was my opinion on it at first. I'm like, it just like the math ain't mathing, you know? And I just feel like there's more to it. But Otani's not gonna come out and say shit. He had a press conference and it was basically like, yeah, I wasn't involved with that. I don't plan on answering any questions. Like, this is what y'all are getting. But like, let's be for real. What did you guys expect him to say? Like, to come out and say, yeah, I'm guilty and I placed all these bets? Would I be surprised if it was him? Absolutely not. And then that's his boy, so maybe like they had like a conversation on the side and be like, yo, like, you're gonna have to take one for the team and just kind of like take that L, and you're gonna be the one that looks bad. But if it was his friend that really did that, like, that's fucked up. Like, I understand being in shit situations financially where you're just like, fuck, and you're like, you know what, like, I mean, he's a billionaire, like, he's not gonna mind, that's my friend. But it's like, then don't be fucking sneaky about it, bro. Like you, like, the fact that they said that he had no, like, he didn't know that this was going on and that he did that, like, that's pretty fucked if that was the case. But I feel like that's just kind of a scandal that's just gonna get thrown under the rug, and we're never really gonna find out what exactly happened. He said he never placed, Tony says he never placed any bets, but I don't know. I know a lot of people also talk shit because they say that he speaks English and like he only trusts us in Japanese. But, and that, I don't know, maybe that he plays, I guess, dumb and knowing, like, all, like, with all the betting situation. But again, I don't know. I'm not bad at him if he plays bets, as long as they weren't in baseball, because obviously he can't make baseball bets. But the whole thing just sounds shady. We'll have to keep an eye out on that scandal a little bit more. And now on to basketball news. Oh, sorry, I did forget to mention this. Still on NFL news, Blair Sneed signed with the Titans. He had a huge game in the Super Bowl and just throughout the playoffs with the Chiefs. So the Titans are kind of stacked, you guys, a little bit. But their quarterbacks are kind of mid. So we'll see. MLB news. So Draymond is still Draymond and made Steph Curry with a shot cry last night. Like, Draymond is never going to change. Draymond is Draymond. You take him as he is. Steph is probably just like, I mean, unless there's something else that's going on that we have no clue about, Steph is probably like, man, I'm just fed the F up with this dude. Like, bro, come on. Like, we can't do this. Like, we can't continue to do this. This is crazy. So I feel for him. The Lakers are on a 5-game winning streak, and we own Milwaukee apparently because Nolan brought no problem. We still put up the points, won in a double overtime. Let's effing go. If I'm not mistaken, AD had 52 points. And I think that last time that we beat Milwaukee, we also didn't have a LeBron. Don't quote me on that. I have to go back and check. But yeah, we own them. There's only 9 games left of the season. We're still ranked number 9. And speaking about the standings, the gap between the first seed and second seed in the East Conference is the same as the first and the 9th in the West. That's fucked. Like, it's the Celtics, and then way below is Milwaukee. And on the other hand, where you have, who's first right now? I know last time I checked there was the Nuggets. Yeah, that gap is insane. Now on to USC women's basketball team. They have moved on to the Sweet 16 for the first time since 1994. And I got to go to the game, and it was a lot of fun. And I can see us winning this chip, man. They go to Portland to play Baylor next. And then, honestly, I should give more March Madness updates. But however, I'm not going to even front with you guys. I don't keep up enough with it for me to be like, you know what, this is what I think. These are my predictions, yada, yada. But I need to do different, especially like next year. It's too late this year, but we still have the Elite 8. Maybe I can give my update on that. We'll see. On this day in 1990, Michael Jordan scores 69 points in a game. This would be his 4th time scoring over 60 points in a game. Major headlines around the world. Whew. Diddy. That's the word. That's the headline. Diddy. Holy shit. Honestly, I need to go look. Like, it's a lot. I know it's a lot around sex trafficking, minors, and other shit that he was doing. I mean, I don't think that there's any soul in the world that doesn't think he's guilty. Like, bruh, come on. Like, you fled to a country where they can't literally arrest you for what you did. Like, that screams guilty, guilty, guilty. But there's just a lot of shit to unwind. 50 is in on this, man. I think he has a production company. Like, this dude is for real gonna just make a whole series out of this. Now he's like trying to get custody of his son because his baby mom is supposedly a sex worker of Diddy's. But there's just a lot of scandalous shit. And if y'all are in LA and want to see Diddy's son celebrate his birthday at Penthouse this weekend in Hollywood, he'll be there on Sunday. The timing. The timing. Boy, the timing. More headlines around the news. This is really sad too. The Baltimore Bridge getting hit by that cargo truck, the cargo boat ship. Yo, that was crazy. Honestly, like, I'm already freaked out to go over freaking bridges. Like, that literally just fell apart so quick. And it was like nobody's fault, unfortunately. The cargo ship ran out of electricity, I think, or out of power. We kept going off and on, and, you know, they couldn't control anything. So, I mean, RIP to the families that lost their lives, or to the people that lost their lives that day, and prayers to their family. And market update. So, huge market update in real estate. I told you guys about this last time, and I said that I would get a little bit more info so that I could teach you guys as best as I possibly could in the best way that I could possibly explain it. So, it was a NARS lawsuit settlement, and there was a proposed settlement that will be done. The court is still working on some files, or it should be just wrapping things up right now, because they were supposed to have a final hearing at the end of March, and this will kick in to effect in July. So basically, the biggest things that we need to worry about is obviously commission here. Sellers weren't happy with how commission was being disclosed, and so they brought it to the court's attention. They're probably going to get like a $10 check. That's beside the point. Lawyers pretty much get everything. But yeah, they just weren't happy. So now, instead of, like, when you go in our system, you can see how much the buyer's agent gets paid, because it's listed on the MLS, and now that's no longer going to be allowed. So when you meet with a buyer, you're gonna have to actually present, which I already personally do, you're gonna have to present a buyer representation sheet that basically gives you exclusive agency with that buyer. So you guys both agree to basically have this contract where you become that buyer's agent. And now, not just are you agreeing to be their agent, you're gonna agree on that commission price from the beginning, because now sellers don't have to pay that commission. A lot of them still will, and it won't be disclosed in the MLS. I believe they're still finalizing certain things, but now instead of it just being listed as to what the agent would get, it would be something that would be negotiated in that first offer. And that's something that you obviously would be able to talk about with the listing agent, buyer's agent, and figuring things out. But you would have to have that buyer representation agreement with your buyer that shows what that commission would be. Because let's say that, for example, and this is based on the research that I've done and what I've listened to, let's say, for example, that the seller agrees to pay more commission than what you and your buyer agreed on. Like, that's not going to be allowed. You have to stick to whatever you and that buyer disclosed. So you're agreeing to a certain percentage, or some people are going to do a flat fee. I've read in some instances, I don't know if it's like a joke or not, but in some instances people are doing like an hourly fee. I do think that this is going to separate certain agents, because obviously now this is going to come to, now you're going to be able to really negotiate. Not only are you negotiating for your clients now, you're also negotiating for yourself. And obviously the more time you have invested in this game, the better you are, the more value that you offer, the more that you'll be able to get paid. So I do feel like the possibility to make more money the opportunity will be there. However, you are going to have to provide that value, because now if you're having a buyer sign an agreement before you guys even go see a house, they want to make sure that who they're working with is like, now they're going to be even more careful with who they're working with, because you're not just bringing them to a house and you automatically just get paid. No, now you're going to have to come to terms with that and basically sell yourself, as we always do. You know, when you meet somebody, you're selling yourself. We're always in a selling mentality, so it's just going to play into effect a lot more. And for me personally, it may seem, change is always scary for some people. You know, it's always like the unknown that freaks you out a little bit. But I don't mind it, because I feel like it's going to separate a lot of the unserious people from the serious people. Like, if you're willing to sign this agreement and we come into conclusion with something, you know that I'm not just here to open this door. Like, I'm not a door opener, and I think I've stressed that so many times. Like, I want to help people who want to be helped, and I want us to come to a clear understanding from the beginning, so that there's no doubt, there are no questions asked later on, like, why didn't we figure this out? No, it was figured out from the beginning. We know exactly what we're getting into. I'm your agent. This is how much I'm getting paid, whether you're paying it or the seller is paying it. So basically, NARS will have to pay out over $411 million over the next 4 years. That is a shit ton of money. I won't go into details of who gets what, because I don't even think that they're completely sure who they're paying. They're still trying to figure that out. I know that it's more for like the mid to smaller brokerages. And there's like all these, they're just looking at a lot of different things. I don't even want to confuse you guys, because when I read it, I was confused myself. But I think those are like the biggest thing here, just to sum it up, is again, the commission. The commission coming from the buyer as opposed to it being paid by the seller. And if you guys have any questions, you guys want to reach out to me, your favorite real estate agent, Jay. And welcome to another episode of what I did this week, or where I went this week. So we'll start off with the Laker game. We got that dub. It was a birthday present from one of my friends, so I appreciate you for taking me to that game. It was a lot of fun. Laker games always lit. I also went to the USC women's basketball game. That was also a lot of fun. It was my first time going to a women's basketball game. So definitely enjoyed that, and sending our team off to the Sweet 16. That's my alma mater. F on. FTFO. Fight the fuck on. I also went, you guys, honestly, it's crazy as you get older how much less you enjoy doing things that you look forward to when you were younger. Like, this is called getting old or mature, call it whatever you want. But I did go to an OC day party. Right now, like, I've stressed enough that I'm not drinking. I still haven't drank. Went there for a little bit. It was fun. I also went to this after hours hookah spot, and I can't no longer smoke hookah. If you guys remember me saying like that shit makes me sick now, I literally threw up a lot the last time that I smoked hookah, and I already knew it was making me sick, but that just solidified it, and I will literally never touch hookah again in my life, because even the smell makes me want to throw up. I also learned a lot about these enhancements that people shouldn't be doing. It's not the white stuff. It's pink, and you put it up your nose. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, which is why I'm not. And oh my god, I was just around it a lot at one of these places I went to, and I was just literally sober as hell, tired as hell, but very entertained, which is why I didn't leave early. I was just sitting back, observing, and I'm like, what is my life? What is my life? One of the people that was very, very much invested in this literally said, it's like I took it one day, and like, this is a person that religiously lives by this substance, and said, it's like I came back to life, like I was reborn. And I'm like, you were reborn is crazy to describe the substance that you should not be doing. But like I said, needless to say, I'm very entertained. They're like, you want something? Nope. I am so scared of drugs, guys. I said no to drugs, and I say no to drugs. I just don't. That's not what I do. That's not my get down. If that's for you, baby, more power to you. Just be safe. I know it's a weird sentence to say it in, but just be responsible with the things that you shouldn't be doing. Wow. It was just like the most entertaining 2 hours I had ever in my life, just witnessing all of this shit. And the things that are said and the things that are done. A lot of just stuff that I'll keep just private, but I would like I said, I would just literally on my phone like this, observing everything, Googling like, what does this do to you? What are the effects? How does one act on this? It's crazy. But again, needless to say, very entertained. And that is probably me going out for the last time until I freaking go to Vegas for Mother's Day weekend, because I've been on my grind, you guys. Just fucking focus. Besides that going out, I've been just hustling, working nonstop. I have a lot of momentum right now, which I'm really thankful for, because I would say like a few weeks ago, for like 3 weeks, specifically 1 week, I was just feeling really discouraged, very down, questioning everything, sitting here in my therapy futon, because this is what I call it, my therapy futon, because anytime I go through shit, I sit here and just wondering, I'm like, what the hell is going on with my life? Like, I feel like I'm just like not where I need to be. But the thing is that's hard to accept is that you're exactly where you're supposed to be, because this is what God wants you to be. But it's like to accept that because you want to be further. I compare myself to these athletes that make so much freaking money and like that are so successful and so well known already, where they have like a whole name for themselves. And I'm like, damn, I've accomplished literally nothing. And it just makes you feel like shit. And when things aren't panning out, especially when you're putting in so much work, like it sucks. And for a whole week, I was just kind of like, I just took a mental break. And it's true what they say, sometimes you need to step back in order to spring forward. And that's kind of what I did. I just took a week break off. Well, more than that, but really one big week where I was just like shut down almost. And just like, how am I gonna make it in life? You know, just, it just sometimes just gets challenging. As positive as it looks to the outside world, you know what you're going through. And it's scary. And I think that I was able to take that break and just kind of come back and being like, okay, I have a little more motivation now. Let me just start off slowly. And somehow it's brought on all this other motivation. So I just really need to focus on that and just hone on that and know that things are going to get better. I drive myself to a point of being sick, and that definitely happened, which is why I didn't film this earlier. And speaking of being sick, I can say this now because I feel better, you know, but I hate when people post that they're sick. Like when they post like their NyQuil or whatever. And I'm like, bro, shut up. Like everybody gets sick. Like boo-hoo, cry me a river. Like nobody cares. Stop. You're pissing me off. I also really dislike when women lie about getting work done. Like, baby, we can all tell that you had work done. Nobody cares that is looking at you funny that you had work done. Like, it's kind of a norm, standard, you know. But we're looking at you funny when you lie about it. Like, there's this girl specifically that I always look at that will forever, for the life of her, claim that she's natural, has never had any enhancements, which is none of our business. I get that. But it's like one of those things where it's like, hey, like, you know, like, for example, when I was looking to get my body done, I was like, you look great. May I ask who you went to so that I can get some info? No, has never gotten work done. And I'm like, girl, bye. Just an ick. Gives me the ick. And another thing I absolutely hate is when people don't keep their word. I guess that goes hand in hand with lying, but it's like you could have simply just shut the fuck up and said nothing. Instead, you open your big ass mouth to promise something and you did not deliver. Doesn't matter how big or small it is. Like, I remember everything. If you tell me that you're gonna do something, you better freaking do it. If you don't do it, I'm gonna look at you funny for now, forever. So like when you reach out to speak to me, I'm just gonna be like, okay. My dating life, or lack thereof. This is the most single I've ever been because I don't entertain anyone's bullshit. You can't spin the block twice either, bro. Like, if you spin the block one time and then you go and act dumb and then you come back years later thinking, or months later, or however long later, thinking that shit's just cool, like, baby, this time is up. I am not the same person. I have a whole another block. Okay? We in the mansion. We in the hills now, baby. You ain't there. I'm just in a different headspace right now where I'm just like, it's really difficult for me to entertain anybody because I'm like, you don't bring nothing to the table. Like I've already mentioned before, like, I'm like, if you're not here to add, then what are we doing? Because I'm just taking food away from my son's table to go hang out with you. And we're not going to do that. And I think that, speaking of my son, I think that being a single mother has honestly skewed my idea of dating a lot because I've been a mom since 16. It's what I've known my entire life, basically. So I've had my son since 16, which is what I feel makes me feel like I would be okay with being single for the rest of my life. So when people say like you're gonna end up single forever, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm so glad I won't have to settle with a dumb F. Like that's great. Like I'm really not upset about that, guys. But as I've said before, like I actually am okay with the idea of like entertaining somebody who I feel is worthwhile, and I'm not gonna shun that away. I used to feel very differently about it before. I was like, I'm gonna end up single forever. And maybe the universe heard me, which is why it hasn't sent me a good man. But I truthfully say, like right now, like even though I don't have like anybody, I'm so used to it that I like don't care. But I also feel like it's because I have my son, and so much of my life has been consumed by him, like all his sports and all of like just anything that he has going on. I'm very involved with. That's also something else I did. I joined the football program, or the board, so I'm part of the booster program. So I'll be even more involved for his last year. And maybe, who knows, maybe like once he's graduated and like, you know, he's his own grown self, like doing his own life, like my opinion of that will change, and maybe then I will feel lonely. But I feel like so much of the reason why I felt like cool being not by myself. Well, yeah, by myself. It's because I've been consumed being a mom. These random coughing attacks, and I have to keep pausing myself. But anyway, so much of my life has just been consumed with being such a good mom to him and being so present for him that I just haven't had time to like really like, I guess, focus on myself in like the romantic setting. I've had 2 boyfriends since my son's dad. My son's dad doesn't even count because we were so young that nobody should like be having kids at that age. And I had 2 small relationships. But really, like, besides that and entertaining like just dumb man and spending time for no reason. I mean, those were my 20s, so obviously I feel like you have to kind of go through that, let certain shit out of your system. But now I'm just like I said, just grind. I'm all about grind. Yes, that's it for my dating life this week, or lack thereof. And then last topic, new music release. It's Future and Metro Boomin, fire ass album, chef's kiss. Apparently there was drama with that though. I have no idea that Kendrick and Drake were beefing for this long, and all this other drama. Somebody smashed someone's baby mama and somebody else's ex-girlfriend. It all sounds like very petty female drama to me, to be honest. I'm like, what are we talking about, guys? Like, literally, what are we talking about? It sounds fucking petty and stupid. It sounds like clickbait. Even though I'm like, why would you want to have more clicks? Like, you're already famous and rich. But whatever, I don't entertain it. I'm like, just keep bringing me new music, fire music. That's what I want. All this other shit, like, y'all can keep that. And Rolling Loud was last weekend. Last year I stayed at the Loud Club area, and I was like, I have no interest in being here. And again, I think that goes back to I'm fucking old, guys. Yeah, so anyway, long story short, I have no interest of going to Rolling Loud. I guess if I was like with the artists on stage, like, I do love concerts. I love concerts. That's just different than being in a whole festival. Like, I've never been to Coachella, Stagecoach, and I have no desire to. Somehow I love tailgates though, so I don't know. I'm just an interesting individual at times, I suppose. But anyway, thank you guys for tuning into another episode. Always appreciate it, and I'll see y'all next week.